I'm 79 years old now, and I've been divorced for almost 12 of those years. 40 years of marriage ended quietly, with paperwork, a few boxes, and a silence that never really went away. I don't tell this story to clear my conscience. I tell it because time is short, and I know how easy it is to believe you have more of it than you do. Most days, I wake up before the sun, not because I need to, but because my body does it on its own now. The house is quiet in a way it never used to be. No radio humming in the kitchen, no footsteps in the hallway, no voice asking if I slept well. That quiet is where the memories come back. I don't replay the big fights anymore. Those fade with age. What stays are the small moments I didn't notice while they were happening. I still sit in the same chair where I used to read the paper every morning. She used to sit across from me with her coffee. We didn't talk much back then, and I thought that meant we were comfortable. I was wrong. When we met, we were young and tired in the same ways. Both working, both trying to build something solid. She laughed easily then. I remember that clearly. She had this way of listening that made you feel like you mattered, even when you didn't have much to say. We married in our 20s. No big ceremony. Just family, a borrowed suit, a simple dress. I remember thinking we were practical people, not sentimental ones. That belief followed me for decades. I worked a lot. Not because I loved work, but because it felt like what a man was supposed to do. I told myself I was providing. I told myself the long hours would mean security later. She never complained at first. If she did, it was gentle, easy to brush off. A comment here, a sigh there, nothing dramatic enough to scare me into paying attention. We built routines instead of conversations. Dinner at the same time. The same shows at night. The same questions asked out of habit, not interest. How was your day? Fine. That word did a lot of damage over the years. I missed birthdays without realizing I was missing them. I was there technically, but my mind was somewhere else, thinking about work, about deadlines, about the next thing. She stopped telling me things eventually, not out of spite, out of learning. People don't keep knocking on doors that never open. I remember one night, maybe 15 years before the end, she tried to tell me something about feeling lonely. I don't even remember her exact words anymore. What I remember is how uncomfortable it made me feel. I shifted in my chair. I told her we were doing fine. I said, everyone feels like that sometimes. I thought I was reassuring her. What I was really doing was ending the conversation. That became our pattern. The truth I ignored wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself. It didn't threaten me with ultimatums. It was quiet. It was her sitting next to me on the couch, a little farther away each year. It was her going to bed before me. It was her finding friends and routines that didn't include me. I thought that meant she was independent. I thought that was healthy. I didn't understand that independence can also be a form of giving up. When the kids grew up and moved out, I expected things to get better. More time together, more quiet evenings. Instead, the house felt emptier in a way I hadn't anticipated. Without the noise of raising children, there was nothing left to distract us from how little we actually shared. She suggested counseling once. I laughed it off. said we didn't need strangers telling us how to live. I wish I could tell you I regret that moment the most. But regret doesn't work that neatly. It's not one moment. It's 100 small refusals to listen. The turning point didn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It came with an illness. She got sick. Nothing dramatic at first, just fatigue, appointments, tests. I went with her, but my mind was still divided. I answered work calls in waiting rooms. I checked emails while she talked to doctors. One day, sitting in a sterile room with a ticking clock, she reached for my hand. Her grip was weak. I remember noticing that, and I remember thinking, for the first time, that something might actually be wrong. She looked at me and said, very calmly, "I don't think you really see me anymore." There was no accusation in her voice, just sadness. I told her she was wrong. I told her I was there, wasn't I? She didn't argue. She just nodded. That was the moment I should have stopped everything, work, plans, excuses. Instead, I treated it like a temporary scare, something we'd get through, and then life would return to normal. Normal was the problem. She recovered physically, but something in her changed. A year later, she told me she wanted to separate. She said it quietly, at the kitchen table, as if she were asking permission. I didn't fight her, not because I agreed, but because I didn't know how. I was stunned by how calm she was, how prepared. She had already mourned us. I was just beginning. The divorce wasn't dramatic, no affairs, no shouting matches, just paperwork and shared memories divided into boxes. 40 years reduced to logistics. After she left, the house felt larger and smaller at the same time. Rooms echoed, time stretched. That's when the truth arrived fully, not as a lesson, as a weight. I realized I had spent decades assuming love could survive neglect as long as there was no cruelty. I was wrong. Love doesn't need cruelty to die. It just needs absence. What can't be fixed is the version of her who was waiting for me. That woman is gone. She grew older alone, even while married. We still speak occasionally, birthdays, holidays, polite conversations. She sounds lighter now. That hurts more than anger ever could. There are things I will never get back. The chance to notice when it mattered, the opportunity to choose differently while it was still a choice. Time doesn't give refunds. If you're listening to this, I'm not asking you to do anything. I don't believe in telling other people how to live. I only want you to understand something I didn't. The danger isn't in making the wrong decision. It's in delaying the right attention. People don't leave suddenly. They leave slowly while you're busy elsewhere. If someone in your life is reaching for you, awkwardly, imperfectly, listen, not because you're afraid of losing them, but because they trusted you enough to speak. I wish I had known that silence is not peace. Sometimes it's surrender. Now, at my age, I measure time differently, not in years, but in mornings, in phone calls, in memories that still show up uninvited. I accept what I can't change. I live quietly. I try to be present where I still can. That's all that's left, really. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. If it didn't, that's okay too. I just wanted the truth to exist somewhere outside my own head before I run out of days to tell it.